Now, back to the Frontier Freedom Hour with Jeff Hunt, sponsored by Centennial Institute at Colorado Christian University. Here's Jeff Hunt.
Friends, we've been having a wonderful conversation with Tim Milosch, Biola University adjunct faculty member in the school's political science department. We're talking all things kind of Israel, Joe Biden's address, Hamas, what is America to do? What's Israel going to do? What's the response going to be? So if you missed any portion of this show, go to frontierfreedomradio.com. That's frontierfreedomradio.com. You can download the podcast there and catch up. By the way, go to Tim's Substack. This is great. He publishes at least weekly. He does kind of like a good weekly recap, but he's dived deep on these issues. So you can really get a good education on this. timtalkspolitics.substack.com. That's timtalkspolitics.substack.com. All right, so I want to get a little bit into Joe Biden's response here. In his address, he kind of brags about being the first president to visit a war zone since Abraham Lincoln. He's now done that twice. He flew into Poland, took the 10-hour train to Ukraine, and then did this most recently with Israel. I do applaud him for being out there. That's impressive. But now he wants a lot of money. Let's see. He wants $105 billion for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and border security. Professor Milosch, do you think he's going to be successful in kind of tying all these things together and getting this funding request?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, he tried to tie a lot of this together with the last spending bill that went through, and we got to shut down government as a result of that. So I think it's going to be an uphill battle. I'm being a little facetious with that. Obviously, there were dynamics in Congress and everything that led to the government shutdown and everything, but that was one of the things that ultimately broke the logjam on the last shutdown is Ukraine aid was sectioned off of the final spending bill. So I think bundling these things together and trying to push them back through, on the one hand, it makes sense. I mean, they're on the Biden administration's on the clock to make good on some promises they've made to Ukraine and that they are making to Taiwan and Israel. So I think they're using border security as a way to kind of like sweeten the deal to get Republican buy-in so that they don't have to have a fight over that. But this is where I start getting at my depth. This is one of the reasons I start to stay away from studying the inner workings of Congress because it gets so messy so quickly. I'm like, okay, now that you have the drama in the House with who's going to be the speaker, who's not going to be a speaker, that definitely makes it seem less probable that he's going to get away with that gambit.
As somebody who worked in the U.S. Senate, my wife worked in the House, it is very fascinating to watch Republicans just totally squander their ability to lead. You know, their whole message into any election season is we can do better than the other guy, right? And you should give us a chance. And now they're fully demonstrating they can't even pick a leader. This is a really big deal because for a lot of people that don't follow politics into the weeds that everybody like us may do, but they have this kind of guttural reaction that it's like, man, Republicans can't even pick somebody to lead their own caucus, and we want to hand over the government to them? Are you serious? They're still that divided? So that, as I've said on some other radio programs, it wouldn't be such a big deal to me that the House of Representatives isn't functioning because I think a lot of politics would be better if we just left it alone. But for the fact that we're trying to defend one of our allies, Israel, in the Middle East, and we have to be there to defend them because, guys, that attack 2 weeks ago was the single worst day of mass murder of Jews since the Holocaust. This was a 9/11 style attack that shook that country to its core. And Israel, for all of its issues, internal issues, Supreme Court issues, all that stuff, they are a country that defends so many of the same values that we hold in a very hostile place, and we should absolutely be there to defend them. I don't know.
Well, and just to kind of like speak into that a little bit more, I mean, I think in some ways comparing the attack to 9/11 doesn't even do the attack justice.
Yeah, right.
I think there's still, last report I saw yesterday was they're still having to identify bodies. You lose 1,500 people in a single terrorist attack in a nation of about 9.3 million people. I did some, quick math on this the other night. That would have been an equivalent of a terrorist attack in America, taking the lives of 48,000 people.
Jeez.
That is more than 9/11. That's like 9 or 10 9/11.
That's right.
All at once. And to think about the effect 9/11 has had on America, kind of like extrapolate that to Israel now, and you realize this is a watershed moment, not just for Israel, but for the region. And so I think, President Biden has the right instinct to recognize, like, we need to be there and we need to show up because this is a significant moment.
Right.
He's right that it's a significant moment. The concern is, and that we were talking about before the commercial break, was, but aren't Americans exhausted? Mm-hmm. Because we've been told for the last 20 years, everything's a crucial moment. Every crisis is a crucial moment. Like, what makes this one different? And to your point, Jeff, is, well, what makes it different is this is a country that that is a very close ally of ours, shares a lot of our same values, has been, under existential threat pretty much from the day they were established as a country. We were talking about that earlier in terms of how Hamas sees its right to the land of Israel as opposed to, and it's just total unwillingness to, budge on that fact. Just that backdrop of the Holocaust and just what that did to the international Jewish community and just galvanizing this idea, like, we need a place of safety to call our own because no one will make us welcome. I mean, all those strands are being pulled together into this one conflict, and you really get the sense that what we're seeing here in a microcosm is. And I think, going back to something we were talking about earlier, like, it's strange that Biden's trying to connect Hamas to the war in Ukraine and Putin and everything. But in one sense, there is a through line here in that we are wrestling still with the world that World War II wrought and the effects of it in so many ways. And I think it's really important that we keep the historical context in mind here. Because, we're dealing with the land of Israel, for crying out loud. This is an ancient land. It's been a land that's been fought over for millennia. But against that, you have this, against that backdrop and that drama of history, you do have this very real, human tragedy as well. And we're trying to wrestle with that. I think where President Biden, unfortunately, and many, many Americans are going wrong is we're missing the broader historical context. For many Americans, they don't see the religious dynamics behind this, so we're missing the theological context. And we're just, and I think because of our exhaustion from 20 years of small wars and tragedies, we're starting to lose our sense of human compassion in the light of the incredible tragedy, and that's really tragic.
Speaking of human compassion, I always kind of grab onto one story. One story kind of hits me in ways that maybe others don't, and I encourage people to go follow Israel, just Israel on Twitter, because they're doing a good job of sharing these stories. But when I think about this attack, what will sit in my soul for the rest of my life was the idea of the 16-year-old girl with cerebral palsy that was with her father at the music event, the music festival, and they just found her body with her dad. What is the military strategic value of kidnapping and killing a 16-year-old girl with cerebral palsy? I don't that I will never get past on this one. That's a story that's going to stick with me. As you've watched this, we've only got a minute or two left, but is there a story that really stuck out to you?
That's a good question. Honestly, I can't really pick out a particular one. I think for me, I've just been trying to wrap my head around the scale of it, and trying to help my students, help other people who are talking to me about it, think about the scale and of it. And really, I think one of the things that has hit me the hardest, honestly, has been to watch the American response. I mean, the anti-Israel, pro-Hamas rallies on American campuses has to me indicated a lack of moral clarity that is deeply troubling to me. It's deeply saddening on a lot of levels, because when you are confronted with the human tragedy of the kind that you just outlined, Jeff, and yet at the same time people want to quibble over, kind of like this moral equivalency of like, well, Israel kills civilians too, as though they kill them in exactly the same way, or as an intentional way, or things like that. It's just completely ignorant, and just shows a lack of moral reasoning that is just truly terrible.
Tim, we're up against a commercial break. It's been wonderful to talk to you. This could have gone another 2 hours. Tim Milosch, Biola University. Make sure you visit his website, get a chance to learn more with him. I appreciate being with you. Friends, it's been another great episode of the Frontier Freedom Hour. We'll see you next week. God bless you, and yeehaw.